Blessings and peace, beloved. Once again, this is Pastor Andre Knight, Director of Messengers of the Covenant Ministry. We are into day number, or presentation number 11, because as you can see, still the same old me, the same old clothes. But we're going to look at today, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17. We are answering the question, what is righteousness by faith? How to live righteously by faith. And we are going to take the example straight from Scripture, as we have been. And we've reached in verse 17 of Hebrews chapter 11. We are looking at Abraham. And I'm excited because I've always found the story and the experience of Abraham, not only to pertain to my life in many respects, but also to the process that Abraham went through to establish his faith in God, and the example, and it is profound, and it encourages my faith. So verse 17 of Hebrews chapter 11, it says, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. Your faith will always be tested. How will you know the value of your faith? Because if your faith breaks and crumbles the moment the sun comes out too hot, or the wind blows, or the aircraft flies overhead, or the earth shakes a little bit, if that faith doesn't make your grasp on God tighter, it shows that your faith needs a change of currency, because it's trading in a very low currency. All right, and there's some currencies that are low as compared to the pound or the US dollar or whatever. There's some currencies that are low, that there are thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of their currency just for 100 US. So you're trading in the wrong currency if your faith is easily shaken, and so your faith will always be tested. So if you're living righteously by faith, do not be naive to the many testing circumstances of God. And the tests come to strengthen your faith, and to let you know exactly where you are, and to let you see how much you have to come up, and to also let you see how much you have also grown. So they are calculated to give you a little grit, like when the pit bull locks on, and he's not easily shaken off. So we got to get that kind of pit bull faith, that even though it seems that this thing is not going to work out, there is a limit to all of this as well. Even though it seems that it's not going to happen, and certain things are impossible, just like the dead womb of Sarah, who counted God as faithful, that promised her that she would receive a son, that you still believe that it's going to work. And so and again, that is also within a particular context as well. It is general. Generally, it is so, but within a particular context of certain believing God, or believing God for certain specific things, or that certain specific things will happen. Sometimes God may not desire that specific thing happens on your behalf, and it causes it to fail in order to give you something better. Accept this one absolute, that God always has something better in store for you. And so by faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. So his faith was tried, and it was a trial of his faith. Offered up Isaac, and it did not say he attempted to offer up Isaac. He offered up Isaac. Go in your Bible, you're going to read that brother offered up Isaac. Yes, the angel may have stayed the knife in his hand, but he did it in his mind. And once it was done in his mind, as Christ said, if you look upon a woman to lust after her, you already commit adultery with her in your heart. That means you've already done the act, even though you didn't do it physically. So God therefore judges us for sins that we would have committed had we had opportunity to commit them. Therefore, you must watch your conversation and your associations, and you must watch what you allow your eyes to rest upon, lest they spring up in you a desire for sin that you will commit had you had the opportunity to commit. So by faith, Abraham, when he was tried, he offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son. He offered up Isaac. He did it in his mind, beloved. So faith, where faith is concerned, how to live righteously by faith, you already overcome in your mind. You already win this game of life that is really not a game, but the devil plays a game of life for your soul nonetheless. You win this game called life in your mind first. You win in your relationship with God in your mind first. You fight the battle and you win the battle in your mind first. You may lose a limb, you may lose an ear, you may lose some hair, you may go gray. You understand? You may shed some blood. You may get some scares, but you must win the battle in your mind first. Because Abraham, he offered up Isaac. The hand didn't reach, but he already did it in his mind, and the actions follow through. Thoughts create words. Words spawn actions, and they follow through. So by faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So God is challenging Abraham. Will you give up the very thing that I promised you to do? You see, because there's a danger of not giving God the glory and not focusing on God. We might focus on the things that he gives to us. And so therefore we switch from worshiping God and being thankful to God, and we switch on the thing that he has given us, and it breaks our relationship with God. The same very blessing that he gave us becomes your curse. And so therefore he challenged Abraham on that point, that Abraham's faith would remain steadfast in God. And he had to challenge Abraham because Abraham made some mistakes along the way in trying to work out the divine purposes of God his way and not allow God to work it out in his own way. And so the challenge was, would you give up your son to me? So Abraham now is like a type of Christ, a type of the Father giving up Christ his son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Accounting. So how did Abraham process this to come to the place of doing something that God would forbid? And not that God commands you to do things that he would forbid, but he was testing Abraham on a principle, on a divine principle of surrender, full and total and complete surrender. And so a lot of people have an issue with this here, but it's spiritual things that are spiritually discerned. It was to build Abraham's faith, and it was to establish the promises of God, and it was a consequence to Abraham's sin as well. Accounting that God. So how did Abraham process all of this challenge, this test that God put him under? Accounting that God was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. So Abraham told himself, you know what, I'm going to do this. And when he dies, God is going to raise him back. So I'm not going to lose him, but I'm going to follow God. I'm going to follow God. I'm going to follow God where you cannot trace God. Because sometimes God asks you to do some stuff that you do not understand. I'm going to follow God where you don't understand God. This is how you live righteously by faith. You keep your eyes on God. You follow God. You must know his voice, or you're going to end up doing madness. In this generation, I know God is telling you to go and do this. You understand? That was a different time that Abraham lived in, and God could risk that. Not today. It's a different society. Things will be accepted and understood a different way altogether. So this was for the record of faith. So Abraham had to come to the place where he thought, you know what? This dead boy, God would give him back his life. So he had to see Isaac living again by faith. See it by faith today in your experience, beloved. And let it be done unto you by God's grace. You have a wonderful day.